This death, this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live. This is why we need independent media.
Hey everyone, this is Kit Cabela with Hard Lens Media. Welcome to our Monday show. I'm joined here today with my co-host Daniel Lupker. Manning the board is our tech priest in the sea, or FaZe. We also got our wonderful moderators moderating our live stream chat. And do we have a great show for all of you? And again, Hard Lens Media is live every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rockfin. You can find our links to our Odyssey page, Rockfin page, Discord, and Twitter, all in the description box below. And if you really want to help us out, please consider being a Patreon supporter. I think, Daniel, we're looking for one person today. One person today. If they want to be a Patreon supporter, we do appreciate it. And plus, I also want to acknowledge the people who operate Hard Lens Media, who help us maintain our studio, because we're doing a lot of stuff here. And there's a lot of projects that's going to be put on our plate, and we're just so grateful to have all these supporters. Shout out to people who operate Hard Lens Media for 1.5 hours per month: Levon Hewley, Zachary Kirkpatrick, Josh Davis, Trish Taylor, Marnico, Carlos Carmango, Corey Walt, Janet Santos, Alexandria Lacampante, Cameron Moore, Mountain Jam. All
Sounds
right.
Sticky.
Yeah, all right. Duke Lee, Adam Weisner, and Brandon Adams, good friend of the show. I've interviewed him before, and he's doing some fantastic work. Shout out to all these lovely people who are helping us build something that has been seen in the city of Chicago, and that is a strong independent media network. And again, be sure to check us out on Odyssey and Rockfin too. Help us build up those channels. And again, we had a really great weekend. Awesome time being on the panel with KRTD Media. And otherwise than that, folks, unless Daniel, you have any other announcements that we got to share with the people?
I think that's what we got.
All right then, folks. And let's get started with our first segment. And this one's going to be a heavy one because this has been shared on the weekend, especially in the third video that's going to be coming up. But again, shout out to Case Study QB. He's doing a lot of good work on social media, especially on Twitter. And this has to deal with Bernie Sanders addressing the ongoing conflict that's happening between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And especially with the third video, when the apartheid question is brought up, it really raises some interesting questions about Bernie Sanders and telling people to lower their tone. But let's play this first video.
Joins us from Burlington, Vermont. Good morning, Senator.
Morning.
I want to start in the Middle East. You have made the case that how the U.S. government responds in this ceasefire period says something about President Biden's commitment to human rights more broadly. And last Sunday, you wrote a piece in the New York Times that said the U.S. must stop being an apologist for the Netanyahu government. Since you wrote that, the president has been very supportive of Israel. Do you think the administration is being an apologist for the Netanyahu government?
Look, John, all that I think is that given the incredible suffering in Gaza, where we have a poverty rate of 56%, 70% of the young people are unemployed, and after the Israeli attacks, you have wastewater plants destroyed, clinics destroyed, hospitals destroyed. I think the United States has got to develop a even-handed approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We have to be pro-Israel, but we have to be pro-Palestinian, and I hope and believe the president understands that. And I was delighted to see that he is moving forward to try to rebuild with the international community the destruction, rebuild Gaza after all of that destruction.
You mentioned an even-handed approach. When I read a portion of your editorial to Prime Minister Netanyahu, he thought it was preposterous, your claim that he had created the conditions and that he'd made peace impossible, because he said, how do you have negotiations with Hamas? They are dedicated to the destruction of Israel. President Biden again said that this week when he said, until the region says unequivocally they acknowledge the right of Israel to exist as an independent Jewish state, there will be no peace. How do you have an even-handed approach to terrorists who want to destroy Israel?
Well, what you have got to do is also understand that over the years, the Netanyahu government has become extremely right-wing, and that there are people in the Israeli government now who are overt racists. You have in West Jerusalem people being evicted from their homes. Tremendous pressure on people within Israel.
Okay, so again, there's a lot more to this entire subject. Let's get ready to play the second video, because the third video is what has been upsetting a lot of people, especially from statements from Sanders.
So before we get to that second video, I want to say that like we're really going to be going in on the third video. However, Bernie, to his credit, has had this position all the way back in 2016. I just wish it was evolving along with everyone else. It seems like the world has suddenly gone, hey, there's two sides to this. And Bernie's like, yep, and I've stayed exactly where I've been instead of moving a little forward on this. But
yeah,
so far so good.
Hang on. Let's play the second video.
As well as Gaza. So you have a very difficult situation. You have Hamas, a terrorist group. You have a right-wing Israeli government, and the situation is getting worse. And all that I'm saying is that the United States of America has got to be leading the world in bringing people together, not simply supplying weapons to kill children in Gaza. This last series of attacks killed 64 children and destroyed a large part of the infrastructure of Gaza in a community that has already been one of the most uninhabitable territories in the world.
You have put forward legislation that would delay the sale of military equipment to Israel. Would you also put the same kind of conditions you'd like to see on that aid to Israel, on any aid the U.S. gives through the UN or otherwise to the Palestinians, to make sure that Hamas doesn't get any of it?
Absolutely. Look, Hamas is a terrorist, corrupt, authoritarian group of people, and we have got to stand up to them. But once again, our job is not simply to put more and more military support for Israel. It is to bring people together. And we can't do it alone. We need the international community. But that's what I think we need to be doing.
Let me ask you about how this has played out here at home. The Anti-Defamation League says there were 193 reports of anti-Semitic incidents this week, up from 131 the previous week. So that's during this period while the crisis began. In the past, you've said it should be possible to be a critic of Israeli policy but not be anti-Semitic. But it doesn't seem to be playing out that way with this uptick in random attacks.
Anti-Semitism is rising in America. It's rising all over the world. That is an outrage, and we've got to combat anti-Semitism. We have to combat the increase in hate crimes in this country against Asians, against African Americans, against Latinos. So we got a serious problem of a nation which is being increasingly divided, being led by right-wing extremists in that direction.
There are a number of liberals who use the word apartheid to describe Israel's treatment.
Okay, so two things, again, to Daniel's point before we play to the third video, and this is what really has been setting people off over the weekend. But again, we'll wait for the third video, but these are statements that Bernie Sanders has said in 2016 and during the midterm of 2018 and during 2020. Nothing has fundamentally changed, but I think the conversation, what was happening in Palestine and Israel, people have really started to talk more about the injustice, the clear examples of human right abuses that are happening, and the lack of action from the international community. It's one thing for Bernie Sanders saying that people need to come together and, yes, stop the hate crimes, stop anti-Semitism, stop anti...
We need to treat both sides with character and generosity.
Yeah, and the thing is, asking America to lead, America is one of the biggest contributors to the apartheid regime. So let's play this third video, and I'm pretty sure this has been shared on social media, where Bernie Sanders says that people need to watch their tone with the word apartheid. Again, let's play it so all of you hear it. Shout out again to Case Study QB. He does a lot of good work.
Opinions, a number of them liberals in the House, who used that language. The executive director of the American Jewish Congress, who handled Jewish outreach for your campaign, has said that word, Joel Rubin, has said that using that word has increased the level of vitriol that has contributed to this anti-Semitism. Do you think those who share your view should not use that kind of language?
Well, I think we should tone down the rhetoric. I think our goal is very simple. It is to understand that what's going on in Gaza today is unsustainable. When you have 70% of the young people unemployed, when people cannot leave the community, when hospitals and wastewater plants have been destroyed, that is unsustainable. And the job of the United States is to bring people together. And that is what we have got to try to do.
I want to switch to domestic affairs now.
Okay,
the President
so
and Republicans have been going back and forth.
If we go, okay, because then this is where a question of infrastructure gets brought up, but it's only just a 1 minute question, so we're not going to play the fourth video. But hearing that from Bernie Sanders, like people need to watch the rhetoric, watch the tone.
It's so weird because he basically defined it earlier in that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like imagine that same logic being applied to South Africa many years ago. Well, we shouldn't call South Africa an apartheid state. It causes divisions. It causes boycotts of South African goods. It is making the people, the white settlers in South Africa, very stressed to hear that their country is being called an apartheid state. So we should tone down the rhetoric and be careful about what words. The definition's a definition, Bernie. I understand the position you're in. I do wish you changed to the same degree as other people seem to have on this, although granted you were ahead of this discussion years ago when no one was there, so granted to that. But it's not weird to use a definition for Israel. I mean, he's literally calling out every aspect of it. Israel is becoming super right wing. It's becoming very racist by the people running. It's becoming an ethno state, which is apartheid. Bernie. It's a definition. If you don't like the definition, change Israel or change the definition.
I also want to shout out this person, Backyard Politics. She does a lot of good work. She has her own channel as well, and she's commented down here: tone down the rhetoric while genocide happens. Again, very and then also we have other people who are saying, "Who is this Bernie? Is Bernie now Obama 2.0?" Look. Let's be very clear here on this. What I find disheartening is that, again, to Daniel's point, Bernie Sanders addressed everything that's wrong with the Israeli government, and there's a lot of things wrong with the Israeli government, and we're help funding it. The American taxpayer is helping out the Israeli state commit war crimes. It's an apartheid state. It meets the definition. It meets all the qualifications and check marks. Now, the thing is, by calling Israel an apartheid state, calling it a Zionist state, is not being anti-Semitic. It's like we're calling it out for what it is. It is an ethno state, and there is a genocide taking place there. There's massive amount of displacement. There's war crimes happening. The people who live in Gaza, who live in the West Bank, let's be very clear. They don't have clean drinking water. They don't have electricity, heating, cooling, no schools, no opportunities. There's nothing there for them at this point. What we're witnessing is criminal. And the United Nations was created so that something like this would never happen anywhere across the world, even though when it was created, it's still going on. Yeah. And Bernie needs...
And the U.S., of course, is the one doing that.
And see, the thing is, with Bernie doing this, he has the following. He has the political power to really step up and to act like how Joe Manchin is doing and really step up to his Democratic colleagues. But what we're seeing here is someone who I think the fire is out of him. You brought it up, I think, about a few months ago, where like the fire is out of Bernie Sanders. And it's sad to see this. And with all that heavy hitting that Jimmy Dore does towards Bernie, it's becoming more and more justified to the point where it's, all right, well, Bernie, if you're defining it, but if you're not going to fight it, should you step down? And I know that might make some people who are diehard Bernie Sanders supporters upset, but if he's not going to push back and be aggressive towards the clear war crimes that are happening, maybe he's not the champion that we all thought he was.
Yeah, it's just it's a bit of it's just very sad that he can't literally complete his own sentence because he's defined all these things. They're attacking, they're blowing up children, they're destroying infrastructure, they're making them second-class, third-class citizens. I don't know, there might be another word for that, but I can't think of it. Bernie, there is a word. You know the word. You were just asked, but it's not politically feasible yet for Bernie Sanders to take that leap.
Even though there are so many other people calling out, even corporate media ticks, and this is a reach.
The fact that they even asked the question.
They're asking that question, and we've seen a few, just a few articles from establishment media drawing up the question of, well, Israel's doing some apartheid things. Again, it's just a drop in the bucket, but it's rare seeing that this conversation has changed, and many people are starting to really question our relationship with Israel, our money that we're giving to them. And mind you, again, Israel's able to have single-payer health care, and we don't.
Yeah.
which is a mystery to me.
It's
It's a
well,
mystery.
they must be socialist, kid. I mean, they're communists in right wing words. Oh wait, no,
Whoa,
they're not.
wait.
They're really important and good. No, it's weird. This double standard keeps happening.
Yep. And again, so many other international countries, other countries, sorry, should have worded that better. Other countries worldwide are saying the same thing, that the actions that Israel's doing is criminal. And I think it's long overdue that we have politicians here in the United States that have the political courage to step up. But again, because of money in politics, Israel has a strong lobby group in Washington, D.C. for Democratic and Republican lawmakers.
I would also just throw in that this started because Israel colonized more territory that wasn't theirs because they have the monopoly on military strength, and because they shot at one of the holiest mosques in the world.
It got burnt.
And then
burnt to the ground.
And then burnt to the
Well,
ground.
it didn't burn to the ground.
It
but
got
was-
burnt,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, it did get burnt.
And then what happened after the ceasefire started? Israel immediately went back and started doing shenanigans at the mosque. It's like, Bernie, I mean, evidence is there for you, buddy. We'll be here when you're ready.
Yeah. But the thing is, we can't afford to wait. So with that being said, it's very disappointing. And a lot of people on social media were sharing Bernie Sanders' comment of tone it down a little. But no, we can't tone it down. No one can. With that being said, we're going to move on
Tell
now
it to those kids.
Yeah, exactly. With that being said, we're going to move on now to our next segment. Before we do, we actually got some Odyssey and Rockfin chats. First of all, shout out to Golic AJ, 0.2 library tokens. Thank you so much. So Bernie wants to tone down apartheid to something else. Isn't that like saying don't call it murder, call it death?
No, don't call it murder. Call it shots exiting the gun.
Yep. And then Nihilist Nick, 0.2 library tokens. Thank you so much to everyone, especially all the people watching us live on Odyssey. Calling them right-wing actually makes the issue more tribalistic. We aren't mad that they are right-wing. We are mad that they are committing a century-long slow genocide. My goodness. Do we have anything on Rockfin? Okay. Shout out to all the people watching us on Odyssey and Rockfin. Again, it's easy to subscribe to both those channels. Those links are in the description box below. And again, check out our Twitter and Discord page, and check out our website too. We're working on a lot of good things, and please consider being a Patreon supporter. But
We're
now,
looking for one Patreon supporter today. Please check the description below. We just need one person.
again, thank you all for helping us out, because we do appreciate the support. There's a lot of great things we're working on, but I got to be hush about it. So, Dan, you got a story for the people. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, so on the flip side of this, and this was sort of interesting as we were covering what happened with the Cuomos and how, and what he was doing. That's not even we're not going to fire him. We're not even going to do anything about it. Response that we got. Well, we got a very different response, and this one is a little more complicated than the headline value is, but nonetheless, a 22-year-old named Emily Wilder was fired from the Associated Press last week over purported social media violations, called the termination an opportunity to make me a scapegoat amid a conservative-led smear campaign that seized on opinions expressed in college. And what are those opinions? She supported Palestine.
And this from her college years.
It's even more so. It's like, the thing Bernie Sanders just said we should do. Treat Israel well, treat Palestine well. So here this person is in a group that's treating Palestine well. I've noticed this and just some research on this. It turns out the fastest way to get fired from corporate media, just go to a Palestinian event of any kind. Apparently that'll knock you out. We're limited right now because we have the word Palestine in our title. It's a ubiquitous thing. Every Palestinian is a third-rate word at this point, not just the people. It extends to everything in the tech universe.
And you could thank YouTube for doing that.
No. You can thank Israel for doing that to YouTube. They were one of the first to do that. We've been covering this sort of a thing for years. Anyway, ironically, this may not be those same people, though who knows. What future does it promise to aspiring reporters that an institution like the Associated Press would sacrifice those with the least power to the cruel trolling group of anonymous bullies? She asked in a statement Saturday. Wilder's firing came days after conservatives targeted the Arizona-based junior staffer for pro-Palestinian views. There you go, literally. She got fired for saying Palestinians shouldn't die. Hopefully we're not working for the AP. We might not survive that. We should just say, Israel good, Israel good. That's what you're supposed to say. It's the right thing to say. Not apartheid. Not supposed to use those words Because remember, we have a free press in America. So
You said that was a straight face.
I try my best. Anyway, and criticism of Israel that she expressed during her time at Stanford University, where she graduated from last year, an already public history of activism, she noted, amid the online attacks coming from the Stanford College Republicans and big-name conservatives like Senator Tom Cotton and commentator Ben Shapiro. Wait, Ben Shapiro was a free speech boy. I have no idea. I don't believe for a second that Ben Shapiro would act like a snowflake and try and take away free speech of other Americans. That doesn't sound like him.
Well, gee, Daniel, as you know, I like to talk real fast. And you see, as we do this debate, you got to hear me talk real fast because that's how Ben Shapiro always talks.
Yeah.
But see, facts don't care about your opinions.
Yeah.
Feelings don't care about your facts.
Yeah, Ben, you got that right. Just listen to your own words. Reassured me. Anyway, so the AP reassured me that I would not face any punishment for my previous activism. I love that you have to be worried about, like, hey, Palestine should exist. You're going to, Wilder said and claimed they were only hoping to support me as I received an onslaught of sexist, anti-Semitic, racist, and violent comments and messages. But, that's okay. You can deal with that. Just deal with it. Don't support Palestine, I guess, is the message. But the news agency fired her less than 48 hours later in a letter saying that she had violated social media policy during her time as an AP staffer. Wilder first joined the AP less than 3 weeks earlier as a news associate, a junior-level position that BuzzFeed News noted did not involve covering international news and was not a reporting role. The journalist said she was told a supposed infraction occurred somewhere between then and Wednesday, but that her managers refused to identify the social media post in question. So they knock her out for being pro-Palestine after telling her she wouldn't be knocked out, after telling her she wouldn't be even put in trouble or chastised for it. But apparently, when she's not even, I guess, doing anything online, she was knocked out for social media interactions that didn't exist as a rationale to fire her that she can't even ask for. It's like, hey, why'd you fire me? You said it was social media. Can't tell you, buddy. We don't know. We're just making it up as we go along. We're the AP. Susan Wojcicki says we're an authoritative news source. So shut up.
All right. So look, I'm going to credit to Jimmy Dore for talking about this earlier today. But look, the Associated Press apologized to the Israeli military defense forces, or to get to take that out. The military in Israel saying, like, when their building was bombed, they apologized. Similar to like Dick Cheney's friend apologized to Dick Cheney. Well, sorry, I'm so sorry, Dick, that you shot me in my face. Like, again, Associated Press, you are the press, which means you question and challenge everything. That's journalism 101. You are not supposed to be loyal to any state. The whole idea of journalism, international journalism, is to challenge different sources of power, be they political or be they business related. And the thing is, when you have the press then let go one of their people who, again, just participated in our college years for
freedom.
Yeah,
Republicans.
for
freedom
for the Palestinian people. I mean, she's not. She was just there at an event and helped organize or whatever she did. The point is, that's not a fireable offense. You want to know what is a fireable offense? Public commentator, pundit Chris Cuomo helping out his brother, Governor Andrew Cuomo, with dealing with the cancel culture. Or let's talk about Rachel Maddow.
To call it cancel culture.
Or use it at Rachel Maddow promoting, the conspiracy theory known as Russiagate. Or let's talk about how all the corporate media pundits, journalists were helping promote the war in Iraq with weapons of mass destruction.
It's the lesson from this is, if you have sex with people that aren't your wife, that's a terrible thing, but not quite fireable. If you assault a bunch of staffers, it's a terrible thing, not quite fireable. If you are part of very extreme groups, that's a terrible thing, not quite fireable some of the time. If you want to be an American and be free, that's okay, unless you don't do it properly. Think of all the other ways and all the other stories that we've covered of people in the news doing things really bad and not getting fired. And now think of this person following the First Amendment, free speech, free assembly, press, when she's not working for someone, being in a thing that all of a sudden is relevant in a way that it hasn't been before, that's what you get fired for. And it's not just this person. I was reading them very recently, like 3 different journalists have been fired for like anything like either Palestine or Islam. Just one of those 2 things. If you're even positive on that a little bit, you don't have a job. That's the real thing you cannot do in American press.
Or you could be fired like how Phil Donahue was when the war in Iraq was getting ramped up. And then he was fired and let go. I also want to give a shout out to 2 people in the live stream chat. Eleanor says journalism is a check on power, which in theory is correct. However, because of the 1996 Telecom Act, especially here in the United States, thanks to good old horny Bill Clinton. Sorry about that, folks. But, now you have 6 major corporations controlling 92%, at the bare minimum, all the media in this country, in the United States. And then, which JMO actually gives a counter, journalism was a check on power. Now you have corporations, these multi-billion-dollar industries that are owning all the media. Let's bring it to Chicago real quick. Again, Chicago Tribune, bought up by a venture capitalist corporation. They're going to be firing a lot of people are going to get fired or laid off from their jobs, or either that get their pay cut. And it's and how do we know this? Because this isn't the first time this has happened to a major media outlet here in this city. We saw this firsthand happen to a lot of people, and it's just going to get worse. So, and the thing is, if you're going to do anything against the neoliberal narrative, good luck keeping your job as a journalist. That's why we need independent media. All the people who are helping us build this channel up and making sure that we actually are speaking truth to power. Again, it's because of you guys we're able to exist, but we need independent media now, because what we're seeing right now, that journalist should not have been fired. She was doing her job, and sadly, I guess the AP, the Associated Press, just really...
Unless the AP wants to publicize the supposed social media post in question.
Yeah. Again, let's... AP, why did you fire her? Did you get a phone call from somebody? They probably did.
I think that the AP is actually short for AFP now. Always firing Palestine.
There we go. Daniel, what's the final word on that one? We're going to move on to our next story. But before we do we have any thing from Rockfin or Odyssey Phase? We got a $2 tip from Roger Meadows. Glad to see the tides finally turning against genocide, illegal confiscation of homes and lands, plus ethnic cleansing. Keep it up, progressive new media. Bibi overplayed his hand. He's on the ropes. Also, would you agree that Arab Israelis are suffering from apartheid? Palestinians are not suffering from apartheid, but military occupation.
No, I think that it's so military occupation is enforcing the apartheid. Then we're getting into a level of technicalities. In the broad sense of what apartheid is having second-class citizens that you are oppressing and taking from and denying rights because of their identity. They both work. They're just different forms.
Yeah. All right, we got some people on Odyssey too. Let's go ahead and acknowledge all those people. First shout out a good friend of the show, the Whitefeld DM. 0.2 library tokens. The number one goal that the United States is to take care of its own people first than everyone else. This is a problem with the age of Congress. They still believe we're in such a great position. We can stay the world's police. The U.S. is facing many problems right now. We need to focus within, ignore the rest.
By the way, I just saw the Netflix documentary on the samurai, or it was like a docu-series type thing, and there was an interesting part that this reminds me of with our Congress people. At one point when the guy's invading Korea, all his generals are sending back reports. They're like, oh yes, things are doing real when it's just going terribly. And so he thinks that they're winning the war. And I wonder to what degree all of our elderly representatives with the mindset that they have with the power and everything else that we cover, and the fact that they're watching cable news all the time.
Well, they're in their 80s. They're in their 80s and 90s. And no offense to anyone in their 80s and 90s, but their attention span is not focused on the bigger picture.
But I'm saying, like, even with like the previous events, like all of a sudden the news is covering it, so now they're covering it. So think of all the times beforehand when the news would not cover Palestine when this would happen, and they would just. How many of them legitimately were like, "Well, I guess everything's going well then." The news reported it.
Yeah, they're probably thinking that. Again, 0.2 library tokens. They probably got from Gallic AJ. They probably got a call from Netanyahu.
We know that the Israel has a absurdly highly invested in terms of proportion to size of the economy and the populace. social media department that is just like, if you, again, we would cover this back then, like, you know, something like AJ gets canceled and Israel's like, make sure you also take down like 200 Palestinian groups at the same time. Okay, thanks. Or you can't operate in Israel anymore, and we'll make sure that you suffer another. That's basically what Israel does with social media. I mean, besides the U.S., Israel has done an enormous amount behind the scenes on social media to shut down anything that happens that's not that doesn't look good. I mean, we had, you know, Abby Martin we had on a while back, and I know previous times, like anytime she would go on a show, every show that she would go on would get like 500 or 600 of the same letters that would be put in from these basically. You know what's funny? What they are? They're troll farms, the same ones Rachel Maddow was calling out in Russiagate.
Oh,
So it's the same thing. Israel's just really good at operating them, but that's perfectly fine apparently.
yep. All right, now we're gonna move on to our next segment. So, I don't even know how to handle this anymore, especially with our Congress, because yes, we got new people coming. It's just not old senior citizens in. But honestly, you know, I really have to. I'm really am concerned about the state of Congress. That's right. Turns out, Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, she's just going crazier and crazier, and apparently Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has PTSD from the one-day war on January 6th.
That she wasn't in the same room for.
I know. So hold on. Let's get it started because this is a two-part story. So this is an article from RT America. Shh, don't tell Rachel Maddow. She might crap her pants. After blasting House... Again, a horrible way to start a story. After blasting House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as mentally ill, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene went on to compare being required to wear a mask to Jewish people being forced to wear identifying markers and being taken to the gas chambers. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think you've really freaking lost it.
I think that if there's someone with mental illness, I can't believe I'm about to say it, it might not be Nancy Pelosi.
Okay, so here's a direct quote. You know, we can look back at a time in history when people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens. So much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. She told Real America's Voice on Friday.
This is just like, I don't like this because it makes me sort of have to defend Nancy Pelosi because Greene is just being absolutely insane with every part of this. It's sort of funny if she wasn't more powerful than the average American. If she's just like, you know, if she's like, oh, look, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene asking for, you know, money at the side of the street, talking about, you know, the masks again and how it's really crazy and it's like the Holocaust. It's like, oh, look at her. But this person got elected, so there's a lot of people that agree with her.
Yep.
And it's just very
okay. Yes, and then Greene was one of multiple lawmakers to receive a warning this past week about refusals to wear masks, while the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention has changed their mask guidance to say fully vaccinated individuals are free to not wear masks indoors and outdoors. Pelosi has said lawmakers and staff will still be required to mask up on the House floor until everyone is vaccinated. Recent reports have indicated Democrats in both the House and Senate are completely vaccinated, while Republican numbers are lagging by comparison.
I think the Democrats should just go, you know what? No masks. Our side's good. Your side doesn't believe it. And then watch the Republicans go, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's still be careful. No need to be hasty on this.
Yeah. So, again, this isn't the first time Marjorie Taylor Greene has said something that's completely asinine. I want to read one last quote. You don't need to pull. You could just put the camera on me. And then we'll get to the next article about AOC. This is a tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene. This was done sometime in May 22nd. So this was just a while ago. AOC, you're responsible for attacks on Jewish people because of your hate Israel's stance against Israel's right to defend itself from terrorist Hamas, calling Israel an apartheid state and supporting terrorist groups.
Sounds like she really cares about Israel.
Aligning yourself with terrorists means you are a terrorist. So that means, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're really stretching here. I don't know, Daniel. Hold on. I know you're just chomping at the bit to say something to MTG.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, kids, like, it's like hard to even talk about this because we don't, you know. Oh, even though Marjorie, she seems very special, and we're not going to hold back from it. It's like, what do you even say to someone that is so internally contradictory. Just like wearing a mask is just like the Holocaust. Also, how dare you attack Jews and belittle their plight? Nancy Pelosi's mentally ill. Froth. Meths are terrible. We need to all this. It's just, I don't know. It's like if she wasn't if she wasn't in Congress, this would just be hysterical to me.
Daniel, do you want? I'm going to depress you in 3 seconds. These are the same lawmakers that make decisions and policies for the American people, all the while appeasing their number one constituent. No, not you, the voter. Banks, corporations, lobby groups, the top 1%, Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers. That's who Congress cares about, and especially people like MTG. There's something wrong with our current leadership, and I'm truly concerned if there's going to be another when there is another economic collapse. Again, our Congress will not be able to lead. It's so horribly divided, and they truly act like high school children.
It's just like
high school teenagers at this point.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's like we've known and talked about for so long about how out of touch everyone in Congress is, but when you get to this level, when someone like this gets elected into office, it just reinforces all the points we've been making about how America is a falling empire. You know where Green succeeds? Not in a thriving democracy. You know where Green succeeds? A collapsing empire.
Yep. All right, but let's change gears because we have another elected representative that's doing something crazy, and I can't wrap my head around it because she was not in the building when it was going down. This is an article from The Independent. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is in therapy following the all-out attempted coup at the Capitol on January 6th. Speaking to the weekly public radio show Latino USA on Friday, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said members of Congress effectively served in war.
Hey, Kit. As someone who
during the traumatizing event that had deeply affected lawmaking and impacted the legislative process. So, go ahead, Dan. Before we continue on to the article, you have a question for me.
Yeah, Kit.
Yeah.
You're someone who has been deployed into
Twice.
a foreign country during a war.
Yeah.
What do you think of that statement?
Okay. First of all, AOC, you're really reaching here. The one-day war of January 6th, where we had a bunch of people dressed up like clowns. You had one dude wearing a bull hat or bison hat, shirtless, everyone screaming around. You had people doing selfies. Oh, yeah, real successful coup. I mean, Caesar and his legions crossing the Rubicon are just jealous with envy, rolling in their graves that, oh, my God, the Trump supporters went to the Capitol Hill. Mind you, again, there's a couple things to bring up about what happened in that on that day. Number one, yes, were there police forces at Capitol Hill that were being violently attacked by those rioters? But there's also other video showing that the police were letting them in. So there's two different stories right there altogether. And yes, all those Trump supporters did go inside that building. Pretty much it happened. But that was not a war, and that was not a successful coup. Those are two things I want to bring up. And then another thing too, AOC, you were not in the damn building. So how did you serve in a war? There are veterans right now that are homeless in this country, all across this country, that are struggling because, again, the failures of the VA, the failures of our government to take care of our veterans, the fact that, again, there's a high number of veteran suicides happening. Okay, and even then, our still active military forces are being deployed in ridiculous regime change wars all across this country. AOC, you did not serve in a war. January 6th was not a one-day war. Stop making January 6th into this big end-all event. It was not Caesar crossing the Rubicon. It was just a bunch of people getting drunk and screwing around the whole goddamn Capitol building. It was one day. Nothing else happened. Order was set back in. And you know what one of the big consequences of January 6th that I really hate about that day is the massive wave of damn censorship that came at independent media. When Ford Fisher and Status Quo and Convo Couch were filming that whole thing, their footage was taken by CNN and Fox. And CNN and Fox can play it on YouTube because they're authoritative. But what happened to Convo Couch, Status Quo, and Ford Fisher?
We got a strike on that.
They all got a strike. We got a strike on it too. It's stupid. AOC, you do not serve in a war. So here's a quote from her. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Didn't mean to yell, folks. But I apologize.
It was good. It was good.
I apologize.
It needed to be said.
After the 6th, this is a quote from her. I took some time, and it was really Ayanna Presley when I explained to her what happened to me, like the day of, because I ran to her office and she was like, "You need to recognize trauma," Miss Ocasio-Cortez said. And I feel like I learned this the hard way after my father had passed away when I was a teenager. That happened at a young age, and I locked it away. You have to live with it for years. Asked if she was in therapy, she replied, "Oh yeah, I'm doing therapy, but also I've slowed down. I think the Trump administration had a lot of us, especially Latino communities, in a very reactive mode." Nothing has fundamentally changed, AOC. The kids are still in cages down south of the border. That's still a thing. We only saw one of those detention facility centers. And on Rockfin, I even brought up how even NASA is being used to have facilities open for these kids. Right? Oh, wow.
Here's an interesting point. AOC. So you weren't traumatized when you saw the kids in cages under both presidents. You did it when you thought you were being personally attacked. You didn't have a traumatic experience to the wars that we've been in. You haven't had a traumatic experience to people dying in your own district of not having health care. You didn't have a traumatic experience of the pandemic and what it did to people. You didn't have a traumatic experience about how hard it was and realizing that you couldn't do anything to Congress, in Congress, and how you were the butt of the joke. But you were heavily traumatized when you were in the general vicinity of a drunken mob of people. I mean, we're not saying that what you're feeling isn't true. We're just interested in the context of that feeling.
One other thing. And I just want to read a quote from her. This has to deal with when the 60 seconds. So Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that the terrorists and insurrectionists. Again,
I love the strong words.
You're really giving those people, the Trump supporters, more than they like terrorist insurrections. It wasn't even anything. Got into the Senate chamber 60 seconds after Vice President Mike Pence left, and that the lawmakers were protected. So here's what she goes on to continue on. Let me finish this. Pence was the one person, arguably, that had one of the most important roles in making sure the procedural electoral college counts went on as proceeded. 60 seconds could have meant potentially the difference between what we have right now and a martial state. This was an all-out attempted coup. No, it was not. If 60 seconds went differently, if a different door was open, if a chair wasn't barricaded in a certain way, we could have a complete different reality right now. We don't want to acknowledge that. That's how close we got. But that is how close we got.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about all this, especially if you take AOC's word on the context of this?
Yeah.
We've given up our rights. We're being spied on from all of our devices right now. We have had the restrictions of protest. We've had restrictions in free speech on the entire media landscape. Rights are taken away. The ability to broadcast is taken away. And yet somehow, with all of that security and all those measures in place, that protest succeeded.
Yeah.
So how effective is all this attack on our freedom for our safety working when it seems that attacks with drunken partygoers to some extent, if she's going to excess, I'm going to deflate my wording.
Look. Okay, so because we actually got Convo Couch in the live stream chat there because they were there on the ground when things were going down. Okay, now I'm pretty sure being there, like, because we saw it through the internet. All right, and I'm sure when things were going down, it was crazy because we've never seen anything like this before. But with the aftermath of everything, it was one day. Order was then put back. Biden became, hold on, for YouTube, Biden became and is now the 46th president of the United States.
Yeah.
I hope that appeases you, YouTube, because there we go. But again, saying that event was like a war. Backyard Politics brought this up. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Okay, and I understand that maybe it might be traumatic, but don't say that you served in a war, because there are veterans out there who saw things, who served and did things. And again, I'm not even including the war on terror. I'm talking about even including Vietnam and before then, who have been struggling day in and day out with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And as a veteran, I find this very insulting that a congresswoman is going to use these terms. And again, it's not only MTG and AOC that are doing questionable things. It's all of Congress. This is our leadership in the most richest country in the world. we're not seeing any kind of effective leadership. And I'm pretty sure Convo Couch can say, like, okay, when things were going down, it was pretty intense. But again,
protests are pretty intense.
Yeah, all protests are pretty intense. But at the Capitol Hill, I mean, we saw two sides. We saw on one side where police were trying to push back the protesters, and the other side, again, varying examples at different gates, the police just let them in. All right. So, and even then, for those cops or security forces that were protecting the Capitol, they should not have been attacked or hit like that in any which way. I mean, there was an electoral college vote that was taking place.
Yeah.
But again, what happened? The end result is, even though you had a bunch of crazy people going inside the building, it didn't destroy the democracy. Our democracy is already destroyed thanks to Citizens United and McCutcheon's decision of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made that decision. And Congress, many of our elected officials are bought and sold. So what system are we trying to protect? It gave rise to Trump, and eventually it's going to give rise to another Trump or somebody worse than Trump. But MTG, okay, wearing a mask, it's not like a gold star. And AOC, you did not serve in a war. And to all the other elected officials in the House and Senate, do your damn job. We elected you. But oh, wait, because you're bought and sold or because many of you have little childhood issues, maybe you need to remove yourself and stop pretending that you're bigger than anything else. Stop putting yourself on a pedestal. Because guess what? You're human just like the rest of us. And yeah, you got power. But how many people really in this country respect Congress? You have an 11% job approval rating? That's your approval rating. Cockroaches and STDs are more popular than you, Congress. And every day, even with some new people coming in, it's once again proving that you cannot reform the Republican Party, and you sure as heck can't reform the Democratic Party, because you got people with issues, and you have a system that's inherently corrupt. All right, sorry. That story really got to me. So there we go. I both of them, MTG and AOC, did just calm down, both of you, everyone in Congress, and do your job, because you got Americans that are struggling day in, day out. 30 million to 40 million Americans are still at risk of being evicted from their homes. We don't have student debt forgiveness. We don't have medical debt forgiveness. We don't have affordable college. We're not investing into our infrastructure. I mean, Dan, at the bare minimum, we need 10 trillion, but they're talking about 2 trillion, and they want to even lower that.
You know what I don't see AOC doing either? Going, man, wars must be really tough since I went through one. I'm going to help push veterans legislation through. I'm going to do anything with what's been done to me to try and turn it around into a bill besides just talk about myself.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end this segment here and move on to our next segment. Before we do, we got a couple people on Odyssey and Rockfin that reached out to us. FaZe, let's find out what our lovelies have to say. So, Roger Meadows tipped $2. Okay. Roger Meadows tipped $2 regarding media and the 1996 Telecom Act. After years of the powerful getting called out, well, you know what they say. If you can't beat them, buy them.
Yeah.
Oh, good friend of the show, the Elena Show, tipped $2. Keep up the great work, guys. If you guys enjoy Heartlands Media, follow the Elena Show on Rockfin and help support independent media. Also, check out our 100-day special with Kit on our Rockfin channel. Roger Meadows tipped $2. No top-down strategy anymore by starting with the federal government, seeing that they're useless and a bunch of psychotics, sociopaths, and drama queens. Time for a bottom-up strategy starting with our state government. Exactly. If you live in a state that allows for ballot initiatives, get it. We in states who don't have ballot initiatives can use like women who sees how a man treats his woman and says, why don't you do that for me? Oh, all right, there we go. And Ronnie Graham tipped $5. Even if you believe AOC was traumatized in the toilet surrounded by armed guards, think about this. People are naturally programmed to forget their traumas, not relive them. Once you introduce the idea you can profiteer from your story, seek sympathy, enhance your career, what kind of person does this?
Yeah.
Roger Meadows tipped $2. Once Congress and the U.S. Senate sees the ground has shifted since last day we're home, we'll respond accordingly. There we go. Also, before we read Odyssey, there's an announcement I do want to share with people.
Yes.
Recently, I did check out some interesting updates for Panquake. And I was on a very special conference call, and I have to say, I like what I saw, and it's something that we should all keep an eye on. And that's all I really can say at this point in time, but I was really thoroughly impressed with what I saw for Panquake, and I think it's a potential challenger to Twitter and other forms of social media. So in this day and age where people are being canceled or suppressed on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, we need to look at alternatives like Rockfin, like Odyssey, like Panquake.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and acknowledge our Odyssey people. So we got 0.2 library tokens from Gallic AJ. Can we just send Green to the funny farm, lock her up there, throwing away the key? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, she is very funny. Again, it's like people would say about Trump. It's like he wasn't president. He's just really funny. I mean, he's funny, but like Green is not funny with power like Trump was.
Yeah, Trump
you'd laugh at when he would do stuff, and it would be genuine. Green, it's like, I wish she was less powerful so I could laugh, because this is very weird.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like, all the GOP members trying to be like Trump, you're not going to be Trump. Only Trump can pull that
it's
off.
like, hey, try to be like Trump, just not that.
Just not that. Yeah, there we go. 0.2 library tokens from Gallic AJ. MTG is by her own definition a terrorist, and she doesn't grasp it. All right.
Yes, there's so many. Like, it's so hard to like. Usually, I'm able to really dive into a thing, but there's so many contradictory parts to her. It's like where do you go?
Yeah. Also, we got a library token from, hold on, Sweet Eyes Girl. Okay, can't say anymore because, again, YouTube will copyright. One library token. Free speech must be upheld. Thank you, Sweet Eyes Girl. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Also, we got 0.2 library tokens from Gallic AJ. What about the trauma that AOC has imposed on progressives and the left?
You know what AOC has made me feel like covering her? I feel like I went through a war. I feel traumatized. I need to talk to a therapist. Rational reactions.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. All right, and again, just real quick, again, it's easiest to subscribe to us on Rockfin and Odyssey. And again, I did check out some stuff on Panquake.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things in development, but
maybe we can talk about that on the Patreon show.
I cannot.
Oh,
I cannot actually. That's one thing I cannot do.
Oh, there you go. It's I'll leave it.
But I have to say, as it progresses, I'm very interested to see how it all plays out. But it's sparked my curiosity, and I'm feeling very confident. It kind of reminds me like when we first got into Rockfin and Odyssey.
Interesting.
So there's potential.
I'm interested in hearing.
There is potential, and but I will talk to you about it after the show.
Sounds good.
So there we go. Now, speaking of which, Daniel, you got a story for the people. What is going on, buddy?
Okay, so it's like I have a bunch of stories on journalists. We just sort of worked out that way. Today's the journalist story day. So this was a weird one. This is a reminder that, like, when we talk about when the U.S. deals with and shuts down journalism, it has its own game plan. It's, that person is pro-Palestine, knock them out of the AP, don't let them grow, do all these different things. Oh, people are talking against the official line on YouTube. Well, keep monetization down, let their content get out, make sure no one can subscribe to them, that sort of thing. How does Belarus do it? Well, they figure out that you're on a plane, and then they have a jet threaten to shoot you down.
Oh, my God.
And redirect the plane, which is a bit of a step up. So let's talk about it. A flight that was bound for Lithuania from Greece was forced to switch direction for the Belarusian capital, Minsk, on Sunday, so that authorities there could arrest a dissident journalist, Roman Potashevich, 26. The pilot announced the emergency diversion but provided no details. The plane was then accompanied by a fighter. And actually on that thing you're scrolling, if you scroll a little bit down, you'll see the actual plane route. There it is, right there. Let's keep that on there just to give people an idea of what this looks like. When a jet fighter's like, no, you're coming with me. Anyway.
My God.
Yeah, can you imagine just for one journalist that he doesn't like? They happen to be flying through his airspace. Anyway. We all on the plane had panicked because we thought we were going to crash. Oh, right, I skipped a paragraph. I apologize. The plane was then accompanied. I love the word accompanied. Oh, yes, my companion jet fighter that had been scrambled to guide it to Minsk. In the moments beforehand, everything had been calm and nothing had appeared out of the ordinary. A sudden dive and fears of a crash. And then, everyone had panicked because we thought we were going to crash, said a Lithuanian passenger. This was a sudden dive, changing the altitude very drastically. It was very violent. I've never felt this on an airplane. Everyone was in shock. Flight FR 4978 had turned east toward Minsk just before it had reached the Lithuanian border. I would have been very interested to know what happened if they just said, no, we're going to keep going. I would have loved to see Minsk. Well, not really. It would have been adjective to know what it would have been like if they had shot down this plane. That would have been something. Anyway, so the journalist in context, which is this all happening for, was scared and trembling. Another Lithuanian passenger, named only as Mantis, told Reuters news agency that the moment the pilot announced the flight was being diverted to Minsk, Mr. Potakovich stood up and opened an overhead locker containing his luggage. He took the luggage and was trying to split things like the computer he gave to his girlfriend. He said, I think he made a mistake. There were plenty of people, so he could give things to me or other passengers and not the girlfriend who was also, I think, arrested. Yeah. Mantis added that he was witnessed security forces at Minsk airport using sniffer dogs to search his luggage. One passenger who was not named said officers had used physical force when arresting the journalist and that he appeared super scared, adding, I looked at him directly in the eyes and he was very sad. Another passenger told ABFP that it was clear that he was very much afraid and it looked like if the window had been open, he would have jumped out of it. Another passenger told Lithuania's Delphi News that while Mr. Poltanovich, for pronouncing the name correctly, remained relatively calm, he was visibly trembling when he left the plane with officers around him all the time. We asked him what was going on. He said, the death penalty awaits me here. So
Okay, wow.
they literally scrambled a jet for a journalist.
Okay, so here's the thing. In a sane world, let's say in this scenario, we'll just call it good Earth 1.
Earth Prime.
Earth Prime, maybe.
Yeah.
The United States, being a bastion of liberty, would say, how dare you do this to a member of the free press? We demand his release.
Well, no, everyone's upset.
I know. No.
Yeah.
Hold on.
My bad.
There's a little bit more of a caveat to this.
Okay, let's hear it.
It'd be like, we want to make sure he's protected because anyone that's a whistleblower or a journalist will be protected by the United States.
Yeah.
Sadly, we cannot say this in this world because again, let's look at what happened to a person named Ed, who snowed in somewhere in Asia.
Yes.
On the Asian continent. The continent of Asia. There we go. Sorry about that. There's also another person named Jules A.
Yeah.
Assange, who's fighting for his life somewhere in the European hemisphere. But again, those two individuals that I mentioned, Ed and Jules, well, they're wanted by the United States. So a major democracy wants two journalists, whistleblowers, to be detained and arrested and face trial for informing the people about corruption and war crimes. And the thing is, Belarus can just say, no, we're not going to do anything. I don't care if you scream and yell at us. Look at what you're doing. And they could use, and that's and sadly,
that's true.
This journalist, this journalist in this article, again, everyone, I don't know what's going to happen to him. I hope that he's alive still, that he's still okay. But again, this whole situation, I wish we lived in a different world. I wish things were different. And while the whole international community is condemning this, will that same condemnation towards the United States ever happen towards Ed and Jules? And I hate saying this because, again, if we were an authoritative news source like CNN or MSNBC.
Or Fox, if we were only as good as Fox.
If we were only good as Fox. Oh, my goodness, if we were only good as Fox. Then we could say their names fully and not worry about getting penalized. Because that's what YouTube will do. That's what YouTube does. And so when people say the fate of journalism and media, who knows what that's going to look like. Yeah. But it's, again, subscribe to us on Odyssey and Rockfin.
And you had shared with me before we started an article updating that the EU is now trying to do something about this.
The European Union is right now trying to do something about it. I just find it very interesting that, again, this is a very precarious spot because again,
I've never seen a jet called for a person.
The argument again can be brought up as, well, look what you're doing to Ed and Jules, USA or European Union.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if Great Britain just walked in there and said, "Hey, don't do that." Yeah, like, well, Great Britain. What about Mr. Jules, who's in, Belmarsh prison? Probably not. Again, we live in some troubling times. So there we go.
Yeah.
Or how about this? Miguel H., you're the best. Miguel H. Juliana Sanchez. I think that's the only way we can get away with now saying is
a good one. And so we originally had a video, but I think we're just gonna move past it.
We are going to move past it. But again, the fate of media and journalism, folks, I can't answer that question for you. But no matter what's going to happen, hey, corporate media, we're all on the same chopping block. Even you guys, ABC, Fox, all the stuff that we're seeing right now, what's happening to the press, just because you guys are last in line, don't worry. It'll get to you soon enough. That's why we need to have true free press. We got to get rid of the monopolies and get rid of the Telecom Act, especially here in the United States. Because if we truly want to be a bastion of liberty and freedom, we have to let the press, basically be the check to those in power, not to be speaking out the propaganda of talking points. And journalists should not be afraid for his life. I hope that this man
doesn't die.
Yeah, because again, hold on, can I just read this? Again, we asked him what's going on here. He said, the death penalty awaits me.
Because this is a dictatorship that we're in. And the ruling liege does not approve of him.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to our next segment. Again, before we do, shout out to everyone that's watching us live here on Hard Lens Media. Thank you so much to all of our viewers, subscribers. Be sure to subscribe to us on Odyssey, Rockfin, Twitter, and Discord. You can find those links in our social media box below, in the description box below. And please consider being a Patreon supporter as well. But now we are going to get started with Fox News. Now, Dan, these are two videos from Case Study QB. And I wish I lived in this reality that Fox News lives in, because
it's authoritative. For one.
I know, but it's just like they really do. Our good friend Barney really thinks that somehow AOC, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, Elizabeth Warren have this huge cabal of power and control over Biden, and they can make him do whatever they want.
Believable.
I mean, wow. I mean, you're seeing it from that perspective, but buddy, you are so way off. So way off. So again, shout out to Case.
I'm a British guy that's paid to say nonsense that because it's from a large company is authoritative. I'm supported by YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki. Everyone listen to me.
Yep. So let's play this video. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter and subscribe to his original YouTube channel. He's doing a lot of good work. Let's play it.
Can't believe that in 18 months, we've come from a brilliant economy to neo-socialism. In 18 months.
Neo-socialism.
I'm shaking my head. I can't believe this is happening. But, it is popular. I hate to say this, Larry, but we should not ignore politics here. This kind of socialist, jealous...
So is he making the point that Trump was socialist? Because, Biden's not been in office for a year. He said 18 months. So
I don't know what's going on. He's living in his own world. Hold on, folks. It gets better. Let's play it.
See, if you've got it, I want it, give it to me now. That is becoming increasingly popular in this country, and it's backed up by the media.
I have to do play-by-play on this guy. There's no other option. Isn't he describing capitalism? Let me describe what he said. You got it. I want it. Give it to me. That sounds like a sale in progress, buddy.
Yeah.
See, this guy's giving me mixed signals too. Let's be real, but he's authoritative. YouTube said so, so let's keep listening.
There we go.
Awful.
I know, but I will say this, as I did in my opening riff. Using facts and figures and making the case. Senator Portman was just on. His op-ed cited the Congressional Budget Office. That's liberal, centrist, liberal, whatever. It's no supply-side operation. 70% of the corporate tax falls on the working class. 70%. You raise that tax, and you will get fewer jobs. In other words, if you portray this correctly as a job killer, I think the public will come around, as they have in the past. And I'll make one more point, Stu, and let you carry us through. If we
ruminate, did he just say that 70% of the corporate tax is what?
Hold on. You want to rewind back?
No,
well, basically,
no, I can't if I broke through everything that he said, that I had an issue with.
Basically, what he's saying, 70% of the tax is put on the working class.
But he said corporate tax.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and play it.
We go through the corporate tax rate, the global minimum tax, and the capital gains tax, right, which is a second tax on corporations. We will have a significantly higher tax burden than China. How's that? higher tax
And now
burden
we're
than
comparing
China.
ourselves to
Now,
China.
that factoid is not out there yet, but I want it to get out.
Factoid.
Well, what's to stop American corporations getting a new address that would be overseas? What's to stop people
Okay, pause
leaving?
it.
Corporations leave.
So the same people that say America's perfect and amazing and wonderful and everything are saying that even though there's an existing profit motive that can be derived off of a higher taxed corporate group that they used to pay just a few years ago, they're all going to move because they're stupid and don't like profitability. Get out of here.
Hold on. I got to give a shout out to this guy, Baron Saturday. The guy on the left sold me some blow once.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. They're nuts. This is where Taylor Greene needs to be on an authoritative source like this.
China. There we go. Hold on. There's more.
I want to remind everyone before we play it, YouTube thinks that this coverage is better than anything we can offer.
And do you want to know what's really funny? Is that Twitter has deemed Case Studies QB clip of this video as sensitive and very controversial.
Yeah, but yeah.
Wow. A little bit of a double speak there, huh? Twitter and YouTube? Let's play the rest of the video. Don't worry. The second video is just as hilarious.
Leaving. You present them with a much higher tax rate all of a sudden, and what do? Some will leave and take their capital with them. That's what happens.
No.
And if you get all these tax increases that we've been talking about today, whether it's income or whether it's capital gains taxes or corporate taxes, you put all that lot together, and if they are imposed, this economy slides really badly.
All right.
Case closed.
Case closed. You heard him, an authoritative source making the case that reverting back to an older set of tax rates when our economy was better will actually make things worse. Geniuses, everyone. YouTube, you picked the right people to be correct.
Well, Daniel, it's not over yet. Let's pull up the second video because, again, Fox News, everyone, they're living in this world where, apparently progressives, this is the video where AOC and Bernie just have all this power. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what drugs they are doing, but hey, why don't you let us have some of it, Fox News? I mean, come on. We're all colleagues here at this
It's
point.
probably just like old boner pills or something.
Probably is.
I mean, what
oh
else?
my
It's
God.
like powdered or I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, question to the audience. What drugs are they doing? What fits?
Hey, and there's no such thing as a wrong answer for this one, folks. Have at it. We got 234 people in here. What kind of drugs is Fox News and its commentators on? No, there's no such thing as a wrong answer, folks. Be free. We're giving you freedom. That's right, democracy. Let's play this second video. Shout out again to Case Study QB. Follow him on Twitter.
Let me jump in. Can I just jump in for a second?
Yes, please.
Look,
Your
we're
own
laughing and
show.
joking here. We're smiling. We're having a grand old time. But let's realize
Me too.
exactly what's going on here. The Treasury Secretary of the United States of America is colluding with foreign governments so that corporations pay more and governments get more. The Secretary says, and I'm quoting now, "Together, that's us and foreign governments, we can use a global minimum tax to make sure the global economy thrives." Where's that come from? She goes on. "It spurs innovation, growth, and prosperity." That is pure politics, and it's lousy economics. Since
pause it
when
again.
did taking...
God damn, I have to keep interrupting this guy. So he's now made the points that if we raise taxes, all corporations or some corporations, he said two different things, are going to pick up and move because to places that have lower taxes. But the idea of imposing a worldwide minimum tax is ludicrous. And both those things are true at the same time.
And you know, I'm getting a whole bunch of answers in here. Before we play the rest of the video, we're getting Oxy, we're getting huffing paint, we're getting PCP, we're getting crack and cocaine.
Oh, Huffington paint.
We got bath salts, LSD, the fake drug from 90210, the one, unknown space pioneer saying hi on life. Sorry, I'm not saying everyone's names here. War Deer Entertainment, wood grain alcohol. All right, that's funny.
Yeah, I like that one.
Free Palestine. I like the reference here. Catch Us So White. A Deep Space Nine fan. Well done. We got Skooma, which I think is from Skyrim. H, a few beers, some high quality cannabis oil, and some cocaine. Dude, that sounds like a party right there. Baron Saturday says they're on Adderall. One dude says Euphoria.
They're on Subtractorol.
And Octalash 08 says all of them is also likely.
I like the wood grain alcohol because it reminds me of Archer, or Mallory Archer, always drinking anything.
Let's see. Who else we got? There was one person. Bride Biscuit says bad peyote. Don't.
Hey, these are the authoritative people.
Oh my God! All right, hey everyone, you're having a lot of fun. I think somebody said, the Breaking Bad meth, the baby blue. All right, let's play the rest of this video.
Money off corporations and giving it to governments. Since when has that produced prosperity, innovation, and what else it was, and growth? Look, there's something has to be said here. The people calling the shots in the White House at this moment do not care about business and do not care about our economic sovereignty. They hate business. Business is the enemy. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Senator Warren, Ro Khanna, the squad, they don't want to make business more efficient. They want to destroy business. They want to destroy capitalism. That's where they are coming from. And I got to tell you, Larry, alluding to your intro, I come from England. They invented class warfare in England, and it's carrying on right here, right now. I know it when I see it. I've seen it before, and I'm seeing it raise its ugly head right now.
Pause it. Oh, poor you. Oh, poor you.
I'm a multimillionaire.
Mr. Reporter with a six-figure salary. Oh, I saw class warfare in England, and I ran to the boat to get with the pilgrims in 1700s.
I didn't fight for my country. I ran.
He left.
I'm a coward.
That's right. He left England. You left, Sir Varney. You left Great Britain. You left the king and queen. How dare you, sir?
It's like he didn't believe
in
his own cause.
You have no honor. You have no honor. You left England.
I want Congress to make a tax that Varney specifically gets taxed 99% of his income.
No. 1,000% of his income, Daniel, because he left the Queen.
No, you're right.
He left the monarchy.
99%.
How dare
a 901% tax for abandoning the Queen.
Yes, exactly. If you are a true Englishman, you will go back to Great Britain. You will sign. You will join the Royal Guard in front of Buckingham Palace. I want to see him in that red uniform, in that hat, with that gun in hand, doing all the drill.
Trying to.
He'll fail miserably at it. Well, come on. I mean, again, there's a lot to take apart because, again, this is a Fox News segment. But in what world do you think AOC, Elizabeth Warren, or Bernie Sanders are going to do anything? We all know that Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are going to get what they want from the Biden administration. The Republicans are going to go along with it. This is the Obama administration 2.0. Nothing has fundamentally changed. And yes, I know I'm using that word a lot, but hey, Biden coined the term. I'm going to use it. And the thing is, Fox News, you're really struggling here. Let's face it. The other media did a better job than you guys did in 2016 taking down Bernie Sanders and progressives. I bet you guys were so mad, especially on that day during the DNC convention in Philly, where in one day the Washington Post did 16 negative articles about Bernie Sanders. I mean, what did you do, Fox? Well, Bernie is a communist. Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN steamrolled the progressive movement better than you guys did. And the thing is, what's really funny is that Fox News gave Bernie and all the other progressives in 2020, I know, like, again, a better chance to speak out and talk about their policies. So, Varney, take it easy. I know you're panicking. Your little English heart is breaking, but don't worry. Biden is as conservative as it get. Dude, you're making one big nothing storm. Somebody should pull Varney aside and be like, hey, Varney, shh. Come here. It's okay. Nothing's gonna fundamentally change. But he says, like, I'm really good at acting. I want everyone to think I got this gig because he's trying out for what he is. He's trying to be in the next Avengers movie, to be like a reporter on the ground, be like, here come the Avengers saving the day. Good for freedom. That's a terrible Varney impression, but there you go. We're having too much fun. We
can end this segment there.
Yes, we are. We went too far, but again, Fox News.
Hey,
get the hell out of here.
Hey, we didn't go too far. We're just following our authoritative sources.
Thank you, YouTube, for making Fox and MSNBC. This is authoritative. And people wonder why people don't trust corporate media or media in general. All right, let's move on to our final segment. Before we do, we got a tip on Odyssey. I think from Sweet Ice Girl too.
No, we're below it.
Or Garlic AJ. Oh, sorry. Point 2 library tokens. Varney longs for the days of feudalism. That is true. Also, point 2 from Garlic AJ. They've been sniffing the cash.
So that means it's cocaine. Then
that means
9
it's
out of 10
cocaine.
bills
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
US have cocaine.
Roger Meadows tip $2. Hey Varney, your audience is literally dying of old age. No one is watching you. The guy who ushered in that right-wing propaganda on AM radio took his audience with him when you died. You hear the echo coming back at you. Oh, Roger Meadows.
That's a clap back.
No. What Roger Meadows did was like, hey, come here for a second. There. Just slapped him right there in the middle of downtown. And everyone saw him.
Did we read the chat from Hashish earlier, or was that?
No, we did. I don't think we got that. Can you tell us who sent us that?
It's from Habib, who says, Hamas believes Jews have the right to exist. Israel do not have the right to exist. Amen.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
Hey,
chat.
stop killing our people. Capiche?
Yep. And then Thomas D, he's saying this in the chat. Financialism is neo-feudalism. But, geez, yes. Everyone, hey, let's have one more question before we get to our final segment. Neo-socialism. Never heard that term before.
Yeah. What is neo-socialism?
What seriously? Like I'm being honest. I've never heard the phrase neo-socialism, but I guess we'll have to learn what it is. We all know about neoliberalism and neoconservatism and neo-fascism.
You know what? Neo-communism. Ooh. Tell me what that means.
Yeah, cash money. All right, now let's go ahead. Well, actually, if it's neo-communism, it's not cash money. It's for the state, comrade. So there you go. All right. We're having too much fun here. Let's move on to our final segment. Daniel, you got a story for people. Yeah. What's going on, buddy?
Okay, so I want to just kind of stop back in on India because, everyone there's dying of COVID and we should know it. So the number of deaths linked to COVID-19 in India has moved past the 300,000 mark. And again, we've talked about this before. They don't really have the ability to tell when these things are happening. So any Indian numbers multiply by 5 to 10 times whatever comes out of my mouth. So experts warn that the real number of fatalities might be much higher and not as many deaths are recorded. India has recorded 26 million cases, second only to the U.S. because we're both terrible at dealing with this. I want to remind people that specifically what Modi did that was especially stupid is he copied our World War I 1918 pandemic strategy of, hey, everyone, come out to the protest. How dare you stay inside? Oh, wait, they got a lot of people sick. Oh, no. And also, we don't have oxygen. And we don't have enough hospital beds. Anyway. And actually, before I finish reading this, we do have a little clip that I want to air first to kind of give more context to this. There's a very striking image of this mass burial site, and then I'll finish with this article.
Yeah, and look, this whole thing was COVID-19. It's still a threat. It's still a danger, and all I ask is for people, please be safe.
America's dealing with it okay at this point. I just feel bad for India. They're getting just hammered, and they're getting all these new variants. But let's check out this video.
Let's go ahead and play this video. Yes.
India's total COVID-19 death toll crossed 300,000 on Monday. The country is trying desperately to save its scarce supply of vaccines by delaying shots for those who have recovered from the disease. The head of a government panel said on Sunday, those who have had the disease should wait 3 months before receiving a vaccine, instead of the prior 1-month recommendation. Under scrutiny for his handling of the world's worst rise in coronavirus cases, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made all adults eligible for vaccination earlier this month. Meanwhile, the capital Delhi will start relaxing its strict lockdown if new cases continue to drop, the chief minister said. Delhi has been under lockdown since April 20th, but daily cases have declined in recent weeks after peaking on May 9th. Other states remain in lockdown, including Jammu and Kashmir in the north, where door-to-door style testing has been ramped up in rural areas. The world's largest vaccine-producing nation has fully vaccinated just over 41 million people as of Sunday, around just 4% of its population.
No, that's good. Okay, so I just want to make a note to FaZe. I think that for some reason people are saying that their Streamlabs are not going through. Can you check on your end to see if that's happening? We're working on it, everyone.
Yeah, we are working on it. We do apologize. Thank you, Heller.
Yeah, it's just such a terrible situation. We've covered all this, everything that they're doing with the lockdown. They're going to lock down for a month. Numbers are going to drop down. Then they're going to open it back up. They're going to shoot back up. We've seen this happen. So again, India's doing a very poor job handling this, and that's sort of the point. It's us in India are just like decidedly trying to make it as hard as citizens, businesses, livelihoods. Anyway, the country is only the third in the world to record more than 300,000 deaths, behind the U.S. and Brazil, another country who basically said, "Oh, we don't need to do anything." It took less than a month to hit its record 100,000 deaths. Deadly second wave in recent weeks has been overwhelming the country's healthcare system, with hospitals struggling to cope with the influx of patients with critical drugs and oxygen running out, especially oxygen. Nearly half of India's virus deaths seem to occur in the last 3 months, which is not a good sign. In the last 26 days alone, the country has reported just over 100,000 deaths. Some experts say the number of daily deaths may rise further. And it just sort of keeps going on, and it's just it's not good. I feel bad for people in India. They did not have good leadership either, which took something that could have been relatively easily managed and just decided to not.
Again, seeing that video of the mass graves and just seeing just how they're struggling, it's going to vary across the world, but this pandemic that we're dealing with is a very severe threat to us all, and we're all impacted by this, and we have to just be safe. And the thing is, it's still very real, and we got to learn from this. We have to be better, because the next time around, should another virus that's maybe worse than COVID ever rise up, I fear that we are not prepared, and that people will just go back to relaxing.
Yeah, it's like we're the modern world. We can deal with this stuff, but again, it's a failure of government that we're not. Yeah.
All right, we are going to move on. We are going to be ending this show, but first I want to acknowledge a YouTube super chat from Patron BL, $10. Thank you so much. BSTLM, I hope I'm saying that right. IsraelHumanRights.org. In the most recent report, reached a conclusion that Israel is apartheid. It's a fascinating read, and Human Rights Watch came to the same conclusion as well. Thank you so much. Also, we are trying to see if we're getting something.
Yeah, I'm actually going to jump up. I think I know how to figure out. If we miss anything, you do your thing.
Yeah, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people on Odyssey as well. All right, we got one from good friend of the show, Backyard Politics, one library token. Speaking of health, Chicago has just been added to the list of multiple cities participating in the March for Medicare for All. Hold on. Sorry, I can't see the rest of the Odyssey thing, but all right. Can we scroll down just so I can read the rest of it? All right. Okay, so let me go and read that again from Backyard Politics. Speaking of health, Chicago has just been added to the list of multiple cities participating in the March Medicare for All, taking place on Saturday, July 24th. Details, and yes, I am reaching out to one of the organizers for that day, and we will be doing a Zoom link interview with them sometime in June. And we'll get that squared away as soon as possible. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's been really helpful to us on Odyssey, on Rockfin, on YouTube. Again, right now we are trying to pull up the Streamlab chat so that we can see them. Again, thank you to one of our moderators, E. Heller, who's been doing a fantastic job making sure our chats are run efficiently. Also, shout out to all the other moderators, Ayana, Fred Edward, Gamer for Life. You guys keep on rocking. Again, huge shout out to my colleague Daniel Lupker, and also to our tech priest Inseer FaZe. We're going to solve a little bit more into this mystery, just a little bit.
It looks like there hasn't been anything sent
on Streamlab. Yeah. Okay. All right. We will continue on finding it out, but we will be doing a Patreon show in just a little bit. Again, Harlan's Media is live every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, on Odyssey, and on Rockfin. There's a lot that we're working on. Again, you could find our links to Odyssey, Rockfin, Discord, Twitter, all in the description box below. And if you want to be a Patreon supporter, that'll be awesome. In fact, new Patreon supporters next month you will be on this list. I'll make sure Daniel types it all correctly. And again, seriously, thank you all so much for helping us out, because it's been a huge uphill fight for independent media. And again, real quick, I just wanted to say I had a chance to check out some of the behind the scenes for Panquake. I like what I see, and it's still developing, and that's all I could really say, but I'm curious to learn more. I know that Graham Elwood, Linus Garcia has also checked it out as well, Ron Placone, I think, as well, but nonetheless, we need to look at different platforms like Odyssey, Rockfin, and dare I say it, even Panquake now, because the censorship is very real. My name is Kit Cabello, the host of Hard Lens Media. Peace to you guys, and let us all do what we can to build a better future. Bye-bye. Daniel, we're frozen. This must be the new form of neo-socialism.
Oh, I know what Heller saw. He just saw someone subscribe.
There we go. Oh, my God.